Coming to you live from the Now Media Newsroom.
And the big thing in international news, obviously, it's the second anniversary of the October 7th massacres. Israelis are mourning on the second anniversary, which was led by the Islamic terror group Hamas in 2023. About 1,200 people, mostly civilians, were slaughtered in southern Israel during this atrocity, prompting retaliation from the victim nation, and continues to this day. And what's troubling, Canada's committed over $400 million in assistance to the West Bank and Gaza. I'm not sure where that money goes. Does anybody know? And we support the sustained large-scale delivery of humanitarian aid into the region. Greta Thunberg was there too, and she was, I think, taken in by the Israelis and then sent home again. Isn't it the second time the Israelis have grabbed her and sent her home? And then there's a bunch of Swedish interneters that are going like, we don't want her back. Don't send her back.
But she also had the goal, and her little team of activists had the goal to complain about how they'd been treated by Israel, and they were furious, and they were being very self-righteous. I just think bugger off. This country is at war, and it's been at war for 2 years. Stop messing around. You're very lucky that it's Israel, and obviously that's why she's going to Israel and not somewhere like Sudan or even China or Russia, because she knows if she went somewhere like that, there'd be a good chance she would get killed. But instead she goes to Israel, where she's treated quite nicely, and then she just complains. It's so tiresome, as the meme has it.
A cynic might say that Greta Thunberg is one of her best assets is her ability to fundraise. She was one of the better fundraisers for climate change, and then that thing kind of dried up with Trump winning the election, so the climate thing, and now the Palestinian thing has really helped her raise money. So Greta Thunberg, a cynic would say, is a really good fundraiser, and she just moves on to cause. Remember when CNN actually put her on and she was doing COVID for a while? She was the expert on COVID, wasn't it? Just what is literally going on? We have a 16-year-old science person. Her and Bill Gates. Here's some reaction from the new Prime Minister of Japan. Very pleased and to read such warm words of congratulations from Trump. Be interesting to see when she visits Washington. Japan and Washington have very strong relationship, actually. They talk. Canada says we're the best friends, but Japan and Washington also have a very strong tie. A lot of the auto manufacturing.
Well, Japan is completely subordinated to the U.S. It's It wouldn't be much of a stretch to say that it's kind of like a vassal or a satrapy or something of
if anybody,
the US.
If anybody was in the running for 51st state, I would say Japan would probably lead the way, because they have, we don't have an American military. Well, we actually do. I shouldn't say that. I was going to say we don't have a military base. We do in the north. We have Americans there, but they have a more. I would say in Japan it's definitely more high profile there.
Yeah, and I mean, the US has soldiers there, and they have this relationship because the United States annihilated their navy with the assistance of the British and destroyed their army and set off 2 nuclear bombs in their country, and then sailed into Tokyo Harbor and said, this is how it's going to go.
They were atomic bombs, though, I guess, not the new age nuclear bombs, but atomic.
Well, they weren't,
They weren't the new age stuff.
They weren't hydrogen bombs, were they? But you can still call it it's still nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
It's still the principle of nuclear weapons.
Well, I think the Hiroshima was over 100,000 people, so the devastation was just. Here's the thing, and this is the difference. Again, listen to this, and then compare it to our government here. Listen to this. This is CNN.
Back to October of 2024, 44% of the American public viewed him favorably. Now, despite everything, look at this, 43%, which is well within the margin of error of that 44%. And here's the thing to keep in mind. This was good enough to get Trump reelected back in 2024. And Donald Trump is basically at the same point here right now, which I think would surprise a lot of folks, especially a lot of folks on the left who very much disagree with a lot of what Donald Trump has done.
But what do you see is underneath that and driving that? Why is he basically the same?
Okay, to quote the esteemed caller, Dennis Green, the former head coach in the National Football League, Donald Trump is who the voters thought he was. What are we talking about here? Well, Is Trump doing what he promised in the 2024 campaign?
That's
yes, 50.
Is Mark Carney said who he is? Is he doing what he said he was going to do?
Well, he did say that he would split the budget into operational and capital expenses, and he did say that he would pass a law making it illegal to do certain things. Yeah, so it's just whether or not people are happy about that.
The pipeline. Jean Chrétien that night said, we're going to build pipelines when he was running. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to build pipelines. And the liberals all screeched and screamed, like, we're going to build pipelines. Where's the pipeline? We're going to be an energy superpower. Now they're couching, we're going to be a clean energy superpower. No. Where's the deals? Where's the deals? I'm going to get a deal. I'm going to get a deal. Where's the deal? Here he's coming back from Washington. Was there a deal in any of that stuff? Did you see any deals?
I mean, to be fair, some nice words, but yeah,
we got that last
no
time.
deal yet.
We got nice words last time, right? Chinese car maker Delight's, and this is for the UK because they're letting him in there. Delight's an 880% surge in UK sales. Chinese electric BYD announced that UK has become its biggest market outside of China. So that'll be the end of the Nissans and them in the UK there. Sales surging 880% in September. The UK, unlike Canada and the UE refused to allow follow the U.S. lead in applying tariffs on Chinese EVs, making the market attractive. So yeah, so there's a ton of Chinese electric car makers that are selling cars in Britain. So I guess it's good for the British though, because it's cheaper cars typically.
It might be good for the consumer, but in a sense, it's kind of dumb, isn't it? You see the third most popular one there, the Qashqai. That I'm pretty sure that's still made in England. It used to be made in England. Yeah. So they're kind of like they're selling out their own auto manufacturers, really, which is Nissan, that was what was at stake here in Canada as well. But I don't know. Nissan
was almost bankrupt. They did a last-minute deal there. They relaxed their EV mandates and emissions targets there for Nissan to stay viable. They had to make that deal for Nissan in the UK. And at the same time, it's just like this is where they just don't see. They just can't see the big picture. This is including the Liberals in Canada and in the UK. They just don't look at the big picture. They just seem to be reactionary all the time. Again, I'll go back to our lead story, and our lead story was Trilogy Minerals, a Canadian miner with a bunch of Canadian guys that were a big part of what built Canada, Canadian mines, from Placer Dome and Ivanhoe and all those things. Just got a huge deal and almost a 300% bump in their stock. Why? Because they got a deal from the Americans. The American government, the Department of War, invested in Trilogy Minerals, and they're going to advance a mine in Alaska, fast track it, not just advance it, fast track it. You're going to have that road built right away. They're fast tracking everything. You show me what is being fast tracked in Canada. AI. Evan Solomon says he's going to travel across the country and talk to people and see what, we're going to fast track AI. Evan Solomon? Come on.
Come on, man.
Come on. Like AI might reach singularity by the time Canada finds out what AI even means.
Let's hope that we can get hold of it then. Somebody might give it to us.
Well, if that bill they're talking about here, was it Bill C8? In Canada, we might not have the internet unless we have Starlink, because the Canadian government now can turn off your internet.
Yeah.
I guess
we'll inevitably be the first targets, aren't we? Don't like our banter.
No. I'm sure they don't. I know Chrystia Freeland, she's a friend of the show, because we use her all the time. And her famous slogan there, which should be put right underneath the Liberal motto of, for the benefit of the few, the expense of the many, right underneath it, a wasted decade of virtue signaling and identity politics.